Story 1. We thought it was over when we left that old farmhouse, packed our bag, locked the door, and swore we'd never look back. We were wrong. Something followed us home. Muddy handprints appeared on our clean white walls. Whispers echoed in the dead of night. If you've ever felt something brush past you when you're alone, don't turn around. It's standing right behind you. A fresh start was what we needed, after everything at the farmhouse. We found a new place, bright, modern. No dark history. The kind of house you see in magazines. My wife, Sarah, smiled for the first time in months. My daughter, Lily, ran through the empty rooms, laughing. Even Mom, who'd been through so much, seemed lighter. We believed the weird stuff was behind us. That first night, we slept soundly. Or so we thought. It started small. The living room light flickered for no reason. I'd flip the switch, and it'd steady then blink again when I walked away. At night, I'd hear footsteps echoing down the hall. Slow, deliberate, like someone pacing. Sarah said it was the house settling. Old pipes. Creaky floors. We were exhausted from the move. Imagining things. That's what I told myself. But deep down, I wasn't so sure. The next morning, I woke up to a sting on my arm. Long. Red scratches ran from my elbow to my wrist. Deep. Like claw marks. Sarah frowned. Asked if I'd rolled into something sharp. Lily suggested a cat. But we didn't have one. I laughed it off, probably scraped myself unpacking. But when I showered, the marks burned, like they were fresh. That night, I checked the locks twice. I woke up at 2 a.m., heart racing. A whisper, soft and sharp, right by my ear. Words I couldn't make out, like a radio stuck between stations. I froze, eyes scanning the dark. Sarah was asleep next to me. The house was dead silent. I held my breath, waiting. Nothing. Just my pulse hammering in my ears. I didn't sleep again that night. Around 3 a.m. a few nights later, I heard children's laughter. Faint but clear. Coming from downstairs. It bounced off the walls. Playful but wrong. We don't have kids that young. Lily's 12. And she was asleep. I crept to the stairs, gripping the banister. Outside, rain pounded the windows. The laughter stopped as I reached the bottom step. The house felt heavier, like it was holding its breath. One night, I heard Lily crying. I rushed to her room and found her curled up in bed, pointing at her closet. The door was wide open, and the air inside was freezing. My breath fogging up. I checked inside, nothing but clothes and boxes. But the air smelled like wet dirt and rotting grass. I told Lily it was just a bad dream. She didn't believe me. Neither did I. Mom started changing. She'd always been warm, talkative. Now she was quiet, staring into dark corners for hours. Sometimes, I'd catch her muttering in a low, gravelly voice. Words I didn't recognize. Not English. Not anything I'd heard before. When I asked her about it, she'd blink. Confused. Like she hadn't noticed. I started locking my door at night. I woke up one night to a shadow at the foot of my bed. It was Mom. Standing there, still as a statue. I called her name, my voice shaking. She looked up. Her eyes white, empty. Then she lunged, a guttural snarl ripping from her throat. I scrambled back, hitting the headboard. Sarah woke up screaming. Mom collapsed, gasping, like she'd been snapped out of a trance. She didn't remember a thing. We couldn't ignore it anymore. We called a local pastor, Father Michael, who agreed to visit. I told him everything: the farmhouse, the scratches, the whispers. Mom. His face darkened when I mentioned the farmhouse. He asked a question that stopped me cold. "Did you bring anything with you from that place?" I froze. My stomach dropped as I realized It was the mirror. An old, tarnished thing from the farmhouse's master bedroom. I'd thought it was just an antique, a cool piece to keep. I showed it to Father Michael, and his eyes narrowed. He told me about the Hollow Woman, a recluse who lived in that farmhouse a century ago. Locals said she practiced forbidden rituals, locking herself in a room with that mirror. When they broke in, she was dead, but her reflection lingered in the glass. They believed her soul was trapped inside. Some said breaking the mirror wouldn't set her free, he whispered. It would just unchain her. He looked at me, his voice heavy. "You didn't bring a mirror. You brought her?" Father Michael prepared a cleansing ritual. As he prayed, the air grew thick, oppressive. The mirror started to shake, cracks spiderwebbing across its surface. Dark liquid seeped from the fractures, pooling on the floor. I glanced into the glass and saw not my face, but hers gaunt, decayed, eyes black as voids. Her mouth moved, mouthing my name. I wanted to run, but I couldn't look away. I knew I had to destroy it. The thing in the mirror whispered, begged, then screamed threats in that same guttural voice. I grabbed the mirror, my hands shaking, and threw it to the floor. It shattered, the sound like a wail that shook the walls. The air lightened, like a storm had passed. For the first time in weeks, the house felt like ours again. We were free, or so I thought. Mom started to recover, her old self creeping back. We moved again, leaving everything behind: no keepsakes, no memories. We made a pact never to talk about it, to bury the nightmare for good. Sarah found a new job. Lily started smiling again. We built a new life, convinced it was over, one and done, forever. But last night, I woke up to someone calling my name. Soft, insistent. I crept downstairs, the house dark and still. Mom was there, standing in the living room, her back to me. I called out, but she didn't turn. Then she spoke, in that low, gravelly voice I'd hoped to never hear again. It's still watching us. I grabbed my keys and ran, heart pounding. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. I don't know if I escape. I don't know if I ever will. Sometimes, when I check that mirror, I swear I see her smiling. Story 2.
You won't believe me, but I'm a psychiatrist, and I no longer believe myself. I've spent 2 decades unraveling the human mind, trusting science, data, things I can measure, demons, angels, spirits. I dismissed them all. But after 45 minutes in that house, I wasn't sure if I was alone in the room or in my own head. Let me tell you what happened, because I'm still trying to make sense of it. It was a chilly October evening in Denver when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. 7 missed calls in 10 minutes. I answered, and a trembling voice spilled out. "Dr. Burke, please. It's my daughter, Emily. She's not herself. Mark Stanton, a single father." Sounded like he was drowning in panic. His 12-year-old was violent, screaming words no child should know, clawing at her own skin. He begged me to come to his house. No hospitals, no police. Against every rational instinct, I agreed. I pulled up to a crumbling 2-story house in a forgotten Denver suburb, paint peeling like dead skin. Mark met me at the door, gaunt, eyes sunken in purple shadows. He hadn't slept in weeks. "She's upstairs," he whispered, glancing at the ceiling. "It knows I'm talking to you. It hears us." I frowned. "It?" He didn't answer, just pointed to the stairs. The air inside was thick, stale, like the house itself was holding its breath. Emily sat on her bed, still as a statue, her back against the wall. Her blonde hair was matted, her nightgown stained. Her eyes locked onto mine, unblinking, predatory. "Emily, I'm Dr. Burke. I'm here to help," I said, keeping my voice steady. She didn't move. Then, in a voice too deep for a child, she said, "Adam Michael Burke, you don't believe in me, but I know you." My stomach lurched. No one had told her my full name. Then she added, "Your brother, Tommy. He drowned at 6. You were supposed to watch him, weren't you?" My blood ran cold. I hadn't spoken of Tommy in 30 years. I retreated to the kitchen, my hands steadier than my thoughts. This was a case of dissociative identity disorder, I told myself. Maybe triggered by trauma. Kids overhear things, piece together details. I told Mark we needed to get Emily to a hospital for an MRI, an EEG. He shook his head. We tried. Machines die around her. Batteries drain. One nurse said her monitor caught fire. We tried. Machines die around her. Batteries drain. One nurse said her monitor caught fire. I didn't believe him. Science doesn't bend like that. But Mark's hollow stare unnerved me. "You'll see," he said. I decided to stay overnight to observe Emily. I set up a digital recorder and a motion sensor in her room. Explaining it was to monitor her sleep. She watched me, silent, smirking. At 2 a.m., I woke to static. The recorder was unplugged, its battery dead. The motion sensor's wires were torn out. My phone was drained. Despite a full charge, then I saw her Emily, standing at the foot of my bed, her breath visible in the freezing air, though the window was shut and the heater was on. "Mommy misses you, Adam," she said, in my mother's voice, dead for 15 years. Morning came, and I confronted Emily in the kitchen. She sat eating cereal, milk dripping from her chin. I asked about last night. She smiled. "You didn't want her baby, did you? That's why Lisa left you. That's why she killed herself." My chest tightened. Lisa, my ex-wife, had an abortion I never agreed to. No one knew, not Mark, not Emily, not even my closest friends. I demanded how she knew. She just hummed, her eyes never leaving mine. I called Dr. Evelyn Roth, a retired colleague who studied paranormal psychology. I didn't believe in her work, but I needed perspective. "Adam," she said, her voice too calm, "if this is what you suspect, it's not about Emily. It's about you. These things use your deepest fears to break you." I laughed, but my voice cracked. She warned me to leave the house. I didn't. I couldn't. Not yet. That evening, I tried an experiment. I found Mark's old Bible in a drawer and read a passage aloud in Emily's room. I expected nothing, just a reaction to study. She screamed a guttural, layered howl, like voices fighting to escape. Her body convulsed. eyes rolling back. One voice, low and venomous, spat. "You're a failed atheist. Adam, you're nothing." I dropped the book, my hands shaking. This wasn't acting. This was real. I woke on the floor of Emily's room, my head pounding. The Bible was gone. On the wall, carved deep with what looked like fingernails, was my name, Adam Burke. Below it, in jagged, backward letters, "You belong to me too. Mark found me, pale as death." "I told you," he whispered. "It's not just her." I needed answers. At the local library, I dug into Mark's past. His wife, Sarah, died during Emily's birth, but there was more. Sarah had joined an occult group that believed in vessels children chosen to host ancient entities. Her journals, scanned online, called Emily the chosen one. My stomach churned. Had Sarah done something to her daughter? Or was this a delusion Mark inherited? I convinced Mark to call a priest. Father Daniel arrived, a grizzled man in his 60s, clutching a cross. He stepped through the door and froze. His face went gray. He clutched his chest and collapsed, dead before he hit the floor. Emily stood at the top of the stairs, watching. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. During a session, Emily was sketching fractured, demonic faces. I asked her to explain. She looked up, her eyes black as voids, and said, "They're you." Then she was gone. No sound, no movement. The door was locked, the window sealed. The room was so cold my breath fogged. Her sketchbook lay open, with a new drawing, me, screaming, my eyes scratched out. That night, I dreamed of Lisa, her wrists bleeding, her voice accusing. "You left me alone. Adam, you always leave them alone." I woke screaming, Emily's face inches from mine. She smiled, but her eyes were Lisa's, cold and accusing. "You can't save anyone," she whispered. "Not Tommy, not Lisa, not me." I realized then she wasn't just in Emily. She was in me, peeling back every failure, every guilt. I locked myself in the basement, clutching a flashlight. Voices came: Emily's, Lisa's, Tommy's, mine as a child. They begged, accused, laughed. I saw myself as a boy, watching Tommy sink in the lake. I saw Lisa's body in the tub. I saw Emily, her face splitting into something ancient, endless. I shouted my name, my degrees, my life. But the voices drowned me out. I wasn't fighting her. I was fighting myself. I woke in a hospital, strapped to a bed. They said I'd been found in the basement, ranting, hypothermic. Emily was gone. Mark was gone. Every device I'd brought was fried. Circuits melted. The doctors called it a nervous breakdown. I almost believed them. But when I got home, my bedroom door was ajar. From the darkness, a small voice whispered, "Welcome home, Adam."
Story 3.
They say I came back alone, but part of me never left. My name is Lucas Grant, the only one who survived Bitter Ridge. 6 of us went up that mountain. One night, one storm, one something. They found me naked, shaking, clawing at the snow, muttering words I'd never heard. Old Russian, They said, "I'm here to tell you what happened." But the more I talk, the less I'm sure it's me talking. Is it? Is it? I'm a meteorologist with NOAA. Not a hero. Not a soldier. Just a guy who reads wind patterns. Bitter Ridge, Wyoming, is a frozen nowhere. A jagged scar of rock and ice where nothing lives. Our job was simple. Haul up equipment. Set up a wind monitoring station. Measure magnetic anomalies. The ridge messes with compasses. They said. Something about the rocks. We were 6. Me, a field doctor, a signal tech, an archaeologist, a documentary filmmaker, and a grad student who wouldn't shut up about cryptozoology. We laughed at him. We shouldn't have. Our crew wasn't random, but it wasn't tight either. Dr. Ellen Voss, the field medic, was all business, stitching cuts without flinching. Mike Chen, signal tech, obsessed with his radios. Dr. Rachel Holt, the archaeologist, kept muttering about unnatural formations in the ridge. Sarah Miller, our filmmaker, was here for a documentary on extreme environments. And Tim, the grad student, kept joking about mountain spirits. I thought he was nuts, but late at night, when we were too tired to talk, I'd catch each of them staring into the dark, like they heard something calling their name. The first night was cold, -20. We huddled in our tents, the wind screaming outside. Then we heard it. Tap, 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 like a heartbeat under the ice. Ellen said it was the ground shifting, ice cracking. I believed her. But I woke up at 3 a.m. My breath catching. My jacket sleeve was smeared with blood, spelling out symbols I couldn't read. I hid it from the others. In my dream, I saw those same symbols carved into black stone, glowing under starlight. Day 2, we found a cave. Not on any map. The entrance was a crack in the ridge, barely wide enough to slip through. Inside, the walls were smooth, too smooth, like they'd been polished. In the center, 6 stones formed a perfect star, each one taller than me. Rachel said it wasn't natural, maybe prehistoric. Sarah touched one of the stones, said it was warm. Then she collapsed, eyes rolling back. When she woke, she didn't speak. She just smiled. That night, Sarah changed. She whispered in a language none of us knew, guttural and sharp. Old Russian, Rachel guessed. But she wasn't sure. Sarah laughed at nothing, her breath fogging in the tent. Mike checked the camera footage. At 2 a.m., it showed Sarah standing outside, barefoot in the blizzard, arms raised like she was praying to the sky. Her eyes didn't blink. The wind didn't touch her. I locked the tent flap after that. By day 3, we were unraveling. Tim swore he heard a voice telling him to walk into the snow. Mike's radios only picked up static, but he said it sounded like chanting. Ellen found a knife in her bag, blood on the blade. No one admitted to using it. I tried to keep us focused, set up the station, get out. But I kept seeing things, shadows moving where no one stood. My own reflection in the ice with no pupils. I didn't tell them. I couldn't. Sarah insisted we review the footage. The timestamp said 4 a.m., but all our watches had stopped at 3. The video showed me standing over Sarah, whispering in that same guttural tongue. I don't remember doing it. I swear I was asleep. One frame froze on my face, staring into the lens. My eyes were wrong, black, empty, like pits. Mike threw the camera against the ice. It didn't break. It turned back on by itself. We voted to abandon the mission. The wind station wasn't worth it. But when we left the cave, our camp was gone. Tents, gear, footprints erased. Our GPS showed us in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Mike's radio melted in his hands, plastic dripping like wax. The sky turned wrong, streaked with red and purple, like bruises on the clouds. I told everyone to stay close. I don't know if they heard me. The first to go was Tim. He stepped outside to check something and never came back. No scream, no tracks. The next night, Ellen was gone. Then Mike. Each time, I'd wake to find frost on the tent flap, shaped like breath. More than the number of us left. Sarah stayed close to me, too close, her eyes gleaming. She kept humming, low and wrong, like a song I almost knew. I found a tape in Sarah's bag. It showed me, alone in the snow, reading from a book that wasn't mine. The words were Russian, old and sharp, like a prayer to something older than God. My voice wasn't mine, it was deeper, colder. I watched myself smile at the camera, and I felt my lips move in the tent. Matching the tape, I smashed it. The pieces were gone by morning. It was me. I led them to the cave. I touched the stone first. I felt it hum under my fingers, warm like a pulse. I saw Sarah's face when she fell, saw the thing that crawled into her eyes. I did that. I brought it to her, to all of them. But what is it? A voice, a shadow, or me, all along. I don't know who's telling this story anymore. I found my body in the cave, frozen solid, eyes wide, mouth open in a scream. My nails were broken, my skin blue, but I was standing there, looking at myself, warm and alive. I didn't feel the cold anymore. I didn't feel anything. The wind sang my name, but it wasn't my name. It was older, sharper, carved in stone. I woke in a military hospital, strapped to a bed. They said I was the only survivor, found naked in the snow, raving in a language no one could place. They ran blood work. My DNA showed 2 different mitochondrial patterns, like I was 2 people in one body. My ID was gone. My fingerprints didn't match any database. One doctor whispered to another, "Can we contain it?" I don't think they meant me. I don't think I'm me. I've told this story 100 times. Each time, it changes. Sometimes there were 6 of us. Sometimes 5. Sometimes it was Wyoming. Sometimes Alaska. Sometimes a forest in Siberia. But the wind is always there, howling, and a name, always the same, spoken by a child's voice in my head. I can't say it. It burns my tongue. I don't remember walking down the mountain. I don't remember who I was before the ridge. I just hear the wind, feel their faces staring from the dark. I see them in my dreams, Ellen. Mike, Sarah, Tim, Rachel, me. I did something to them. Or it did. Or I am it. When I close my eyes, I see the cave. But when I open them, I still do.